Dus, ja, ik dacht ze Periscope eraf gingen gooien, maar ik heb... Of in ieder geval Periscope... Ik dacht Twitter Periscope eraf ging gooien, maar ik weet niet... of die was
We're
al in de
live
app.
now, by the way. They can hear us, so you're talking Dutch.
Oh.
Oh.
Oops. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
We already have 11 viewers, 24. Oh, that goes fast, 25.
I was looking at the Twitter. Where's the tweet? Oh, it is live. Yes, I see it.
Yeah, we're live, and they can hear us already. We're still watching the loading speaker. That's kind of...
Right. So you could set up these video clips with audio, and then they cannot hear us.
Right.
But I recorded this one without audio, so they can actually hear us.
That's interesting for them, right? They can, like, hi, everyone. Hi.
Yeah.
Surprise, guess who's here?
Okay. Are you ready, Frank?
Mm-hmm.
Are you still taking a sip of your coffee?
Yeah, so...
That's good. Can I show all the...
They're used to me drinking coffee on stream, like, a long time back. That's worse, by the way.
Okay, so we start with the logo fly in or the logo fly out clip?
The fly in. That doesn't have the thing at the end.
Oh, yeah. I don't like that part. Here we go.
Look at that. It's nice, right?
It is, it really is. Woo!
Right?
Nice.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year, yeah. 2021, we made it.
Yeah, we did it. It's kind of weird, right? I feel like saying 2020 was a horrible year because of the pandemic, but for like Home Assistant and the things we achieved, it was actually like a pretty fucking amazing year. So,
I mean, for me personally, I mean, yeah, my daughter was born and like did cool shit, lived in 3 countries, well, with my parents, but it was fun. So, yeah.
It wasn't that bad of a year from that perspective, but still, yeah, I don't know, a bit mixed, I guess.
Right. Let's see.
So,
hey, I see. Yeah.
We're at 2021.1 today. I still have to get used to 2021.1.0. I almost mistyped the release actually when creating it today.
Have we? I saw Zach is here. Hey Zach, I saw you didn't make a video because there was nothing in this release that was really worth videoing about. Which I'm actually proud of that, right? Like after the conference, we said we're gonna take a break, and a lot of us did. Well, actually, a lot of the reviewers did. We actually have 700 PRs open right now, like 700 contributions waiting to be reviewed.
So if you think about it, we still have 300 contributions in this release from 109 different people. Like, there's nothing, but there's still 300 changes somebody, like 109 people made in that short time span during the holidays. It's kind of crazy, actually.
Yeah. Right, and there's still so many open.
Yeah.
So I think,
too many.
Was it 6 months ago, we were down to like 300 PRs open?
Yeah, we celebrated it a bit. Like, look at us, we made it. And I think you went mad at me because I was not aware and opened up a new one. And
I was working
your 300 marker. oh boy.
Man. Yeah.
Don't know if I ever saw that many front-end PRs open though. Yeah, Thomas. It's front-end, it's everywhere, like mainly the core and the documentation as well, but that's because of the core. So like many PRs for the core have a documentation change as well. So usually that's 2. Like a lot of them have 2. And then you have the front end, indeed. And all the brands and the icons for new integrations that are waiting, PRs that are open.
Man. Hey, I invited someone, Frank.
I see.
Yes. That's
cool.
One of the people who likes to build hardware and connect it to Home Assistant. Famous for the tag reader, but also other stuff, of course.
I don't have it on my desk now. Hey, mate.
Andrea. We do not hear you. You're live, huh?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
yes.
Good.
Good.
I muted the mic.
Happy New Year, mate.
Year,
We haven't
guys.
spoke in the new year yet.
No, we haven't.
No. Well, Happy New Year.
Yeah. So,
Andrea, for the people that don't know you, who are you? Where do you live? What do you do?
I am Andrea, also known as Adono. I think I'm mostly known for the tag reader, which was presented for the birthday release of Home Assistant for the birthday week, and together with some other folks, we created or we built the tag reader, which allows you to read NFC tags based on ESP. Based on ESP,
Nice.
and I'm from Luxembourg, actually.
Luxembourg, not too far away.
Well, for you, yes. Are you back in the US?
No, I'm not back in the US. No, I delayed my flight. So I'm in the Netherlands right now. And so I'm back at my parents. I was in
Okay.
Denmark for the last 3 months.
Oh.
But now, yeah.
So you're still staying a long time in Europe.
I hope not, but it depends a bit on how well things go.
Okay.
I mean, I work from home, so I'm pretty flexible. My wife works from home as well, so we're not really per se needed in the US, but that's just where my house is. So.
One house, but I think it's still nice to be able to roam, like going to Denmark, going to Netherlands, going back to the US.
It is. I'm lucky to live with my parents, so that helps.
I'm not thinking about doing that again. No, absolutely not.
So, Andrea, you're working on how are the tech readers going?
Well, Marcel helped me. So Marcel, also known as iMars on Twitter or on Discord, helped me create a new hardware-based tag reader. So hardware-based means no more wires. It will be a PCB.
Nice.
We are waiting on the second prototype, which should arrive this week. And if that one goes through, I will start being able to take orders again. But unfortunately, I am waiting for NFC readers like the PN532. They should have arrived end of November, and they're still in China. So that's a bummer.
Ooh.
And I didn't want to accept new orders until I had like a stock of hardware, because people had to wait 2 months until I was able to ship them. And I'm getting emails that people are still receiving their stuff, which means that's now 3 months already. And so that was in December, 3 months, and we're approaching the 4th month. So they ordered mid-September, and they have been waiting for a long time, and I don't want to. So I don't know. Maybe I'll start accepting orders, but then with the premise that the people will have to wait like 2-3 months until I get the hardware to be able to ship out. That's the issue, actually.
Oh, that sucks.
But creating wise, I've worked on my. Hold on, just a second. I'm back. I will be right back.
Oh, yeah. Who's he? Oh boy.
Okay, yeah, wait. Look.
That's
Boom.
better.
Yeah.
You'll be right back. Hectic
Oh,
life,
no.
right?
Right. Oh, look, he's actually back on the stream. Oh.
Yeah, I had someone yelling all the time.
Oh, for daddy. How many? You have created like a lot of these tag readers, right?
So I've created around 400 devices. So 400 devices soldered by hand, which have let me check, 6-7 wires. So that's okay. Times 400. So they had to be cut. How do you call that? You had to remove the plastic, and then you had to solder them. So that was a bit of work, but I made them. The most work wasn't soldering, actually. It was really cutting and then stripping them. That was the most tedious work.
Right. So you can now solder like a pro, right?
Yeah, and I didn't burn myself.
Oh,
That's good.
Like, not even once. I didn't burn myself. So
I've seen a picture of the, like, Adana showed me a picture. He has like a bunch of printers now, like just to print all those cases. Like, oh my god, dude, that was one hell of an operation you did there.
yeah,
And
well,
you pulled it off, by the way. Respect.
I remember Paul asking me, "What will you do if you sell 1,000?" And I said, "Never, never in the world, never in my life. I want never." And I told him, "I'll buy another printer," and it didn't take. I don't know how long it took me, and I had to buy 3 more printers, like just to cope up with demand, because I did the math, and I said, like, okay, 400 devices, a case needs up to 2 hours to print, and it's impossible. I won't be able to do it. And then I bought new printers, but they needed tuning, they needed fine tuning, and while printing, I was also looking to outsource the cases because I couldn't do it by myself while keeping my day job running and the family working. And so in the end, I found someone who can build up to like 100 devices a week, just cases, and that helped me actually. Which would still mean it might take up to 4 weeks until I have all the cases for 400 orders. That's the thing. But soldering wise, it will be a lot better.
It's crazy how much work hardware is compared to software. Like having, I mean, we Home Assistant of course runs software, but we choose kind of these are the platforms we support, and we support those pieces of hardware. But to actually make stuff, it's so much effort, right? Like Home Assistant Blue, we started the Home Assistant Blue project or the idea of like let's build a case for the Odroid N2 in January, like a year ago, like pretty much a year to the day, and it took us pretty much till the conference to get everything in place, and that's
just a case, like
just a case.
essentially.
Yeah. But you're doing it on a much larger scale. Like you have dies and you have like real production behind it, and that's the thing I was looking into. But just getting the dies, like just getting the how do you call it, the injection molding dies, 5,000 euros.
Yeah, it's really expensive.
And that's a lot of money, actually.
We actually didn't do injection molding, right? It's because
No,
it's aluminium. It's the thing with aluminium is that you don't have any upfront cost, but you pay a higher price per piece. So, but yeah, I mean, we also have issues, right? Like obviously the blue is sold out now. I think they sold over 1,000 now. There's a batch coming at the end of February, and there will be another batch coming in
March.
Well, after Chinese New Year, I think. Right. So all February there's I think Chinese New Year, and then nothing is happening. But we've also been running into some issues with the chroming. So like we had some defective parts. So we're now actually, everyone here, we're looking into doing it slightly different. I don't know if people can see this. Well, I should.
Oh, they're brushed.
They're brushed, yes. They're going to be brushed. Oh, God. And like, I don't know. That's what we're looking into right now. But that's also just because it's so difficult to do the chrome part on it. And like, I mean, it was a bit more expensive, but I really like the looks, right? Because we really wanted that 70s look of.
We wanted to create like a just a beautiful device we liked, right? Like that was the goal. Like make something beautiful instead of plastic junk.
Right.
Thank you.
Oh.
Yeah, let me show the inspiration for our. I don't know. Can people see this? Very professional. Show my phone on the screen. This was the inspiration for. It was the inspiration for the blue.
Yeah.
The toaster.
Yeah.
That thing. You shared it at least a year ago.
Here is my version of the case.
Technicolor rainbow.
Yeah, it went a bit bad based on the printer, but it's looking quite okay. And here is actually the first prototype of the new tag reader.
Oh, that looks really nice.
So
Well, I mean, your PCB is not that big, right? It's just it sits next to the D1 Mini. The blue part is the D1 Mini, right?
yes, exactly, yes. So the only thing that will change, actually, it will be on this side, like there's a black post that will be shorter on that side. We'll make it thinner, actually only here thinner. And that's actually it. We will turn the buzzer, that was an issue, and we will just increase the gap between the PN and the D1 just a little bit.
Nice. Are you does the size change at all?
Yes, it will actually be a lot smaller. Let me check. So here is the case of the old one, and well, a lot smaller. It will be like 1 centimeter.
Okay.
short.
And you can, like you told me, you could mount it in a different way as well. Like,
We are trying this version,
like,
but there are still issues for now. Like, the thing is, the antenna of the D1 is an issue. So the next, this will be a next version we are trying. We won't use the D1 anymore. We will try to use USB-C and the ESP on board. So it will be one PCB that you can solder directly to the PN522.
right.
So that should be the next version. But for now, since people have been asking when I will be shipping orders again, I thought just try to be able to just produce again for now, and then we'll be working on a new version.
Get a V2 going. Right.
Exactly. And then we're also waiting on ESP home. So Jesse, who has done the whole PN522 IC squared implementation, has also been working on the NDEF. So that's what we should use to be able to use the URL instead of the ID. And that will take some time because that needs validation. He needs to write some documentation, and then it has to go to dev, and then. So.
But that part is to be compatible with the Home Assistant Android and iPhone applications, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So you will have one tag, and it will work the same on all devices, which isn't the case right now.
I just saw this comment. I always wanted to make an NFC jukebox for the kids. That's actually how it started. That's how. The only thing what I wish is that we could make it easier in Home Assistant, so a bit more UI kind of to guide solid automation that can pretty much just do it all.
Blueprints, maybe.
Well, and the media browser.
Yeah.
Hey, I just see someone else has arrived as well, so I'm gonna just bump him into the stream.
There has been a tweet I retweeted yesterday. Hey, hello, Happy New Year.
Yeah, me too.
There's been a tweet yesterday. Some guy tweeted like he made a small box, wooden box for his kids, like with where he could stock NFC cards in there, and he had the reader. But that's a thing he made. It looked quite good.
Yeah,
I'd love to have a battery-driven one. But I know it's not so easy.
That's V4, I guess.
We are actually on V4, like hardware based. So that will be V5 or V6, and we are talking about it. But you will have to add a button.
Well, I mean, I was thinking about it. You could either do a button, but of course that defeats the purpose, right? Like button scan, that's not a good user experience. But if you could put a distance sensor above it, right? So you put like only match if the card is almost on the scanner, then you turn on the scanner, scan it, and then like.
But then it won't be, anyways, it won't be that fast because it has to wake up, connect to the Wi-Fi, and send the tag. And the other thing is even the like you say the presence of like the detection will will need battery, so it will go use battery. That's why I said, but yeah, that's why I said we need to find a hardware solution, like to wake the device.
Yeah, but
it's not possible to use the R feed to wake up the ESP from deep sleep.
Like excuse me.
To use the NFC or R feed, the signal from the card.
No, because he
No,
tries
the
to
card's
read all the
passive.
time. That's the thing. He tries to read all the time, and that's the thing which will use the battery the most, actually. And then trying to keep the connection is one other thing. So if you knew like a time frame you would use it, you could actually maybe that's the thing that could be started. Like when you take it outside, you just unplug it and it will run on battery, but you only have 1 hour or 2 hours available. But that could be a solution also.
I just got Shelly just sent me a sample of their new motion sensor. This one.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's really huge.
It's really big. But the reason why it's this big, because it has a really big battery, 7,000 milliamps. It runs Wi-Fi only, but it stays connected to Wi-Fi for like more than a year.
7,500 milliamps, 7,000 milliamps.
Yes, it's really heavy. I think it's like as heavy as like an iPhone.
So you charge it after a year?
Yeah, there's a micro USB.
Okay.
They could have run USB-C.
Yeah. None of people have extra USB-C laying around, I think, right now. We're in this weird transition phase.
Yeah, but it will be coming. That's the thing. Like, so if you're building new devices, actually, maybe knowing that in future more people will have USB-C will help adoption as well. So that's another thought we were having.
Sure, but you don't really care that much about pushing the adoption of USB-C, right?
Yeah, you mean like micro USB is a lot cheaper right now, so that's
the main thing, right? Yeah, people are either moving it along or they have already all this stuff piled up. But anyway, the reason I showed this one is because that's what the thing would look like if you need like a big ass battery, right? And this would not, for a card reader, that would not really work.
That thing is now supported in today's release. Since this is a release party, maybe.
Oh yeah,
a little plug. That's actually in the release. So
yeah, actually, I've been talking to Frank like during your vacation, and I said, oh, it's like it's a lot, but it's a small release. Like there's no big new feature coming, and he said, yeah, actually, we're all in vacation, and that's the thing people should remember. Like you really had vacation. You guys took off.
Right. Well, we didn't go anywhere, but yeah, we were. Yeah. I don't think I even like opened my computer like half of the days.
Yeah, you were like unreachable some days, which was really odd.
Yeah.
For most of the guys, by the way, like we had days where like nothing was said. That was kind of weird. Like that would be like the first days in the whole year that happened.
Right. Well, I think what happened is that the way we set up the conference was great and was awesome. We did like a big hardware release, a big software release, Blueprint got launched with everything around it, and organizing the conference. And there was just too much. Right? It's like too much doing at the same time. Like everything builds up to this one moment. And I think next year we're gonna do more, where we're gonna announce things that are gonna go live in like 3 weeks or something. So we have time for people to join the beta and stuff like that.
But this feel less than on the last State of the Union. For me, at least.
Yeah. Well, that has been a common theme with our State of the Union. It's like a lot of work for everyone. So next year is going to be better.
Yeah, another thing is maybe for the next conference. That's a thing. Also, I was telling Frank is. You had the conference, but you already were running beta like a week before, I think.
Yep.
And there was a surprise element of new stuff coming. That was a bit like, the big stuff was blue actually, but I think next year probably there will be like maybe another release or something bigger, and so it's maybe better to announce what's coming. Like you did also, that's what you actually did in the last State of the Union before the conference, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, well, I guess in the last State of the Union, the things we announced was the Android application, working on Open Z-Wave, which we can talk a bit more in a bit as well. But and with ADA and /Element, that was like a really big thing we released at the conference last year. And this year, Blueprints was really big. But I think, I mean, the element of surprise, I think most people are still surprised. Like, yeah, there were some hardcore people already that are on the beta or like checking every post in the forums, and they already saw some things. But you can't always hide everything. I mean, in the end, we're open source, right?
Yes.
Like, Blueprints was actually already available in the release before that. But we didn't post any documentation about it, and nobody knew. And it was like a PR, but like we removed it from the PR list in the release. And we thought actually it was going to get leaked, and that didn't happen. So that was pretty good. But yeah, in the end, we're open source. We cannot hide anything inside of it.
Yeah.
We should not have to, and we don't. Personally, I don't want to actually. Like, we get so many good feedback from developers or people are testing out nightly builds or betas. Like, often things just change during those times and improve tremendously. And not having that, I think that is like, that would be very stupid.
Yeah, I think since we also build every day a release or a nightly build, people can easily test all the builds and can easily test the beta, and that help a lot with the feedback that come back to make that really more stable.
Yeah, especially Blueprints. I think Blueprints was, like Paul said, it was already in a previous release, and like the basics. And that meant it was also available in the nightlies, which most of us run at least, and that means that we got to play with it already. Like I was actually using Blueprints already for a couple of weeks. I was playing with it, and for some others of us as well, and then you learn. You learn that like that was a good idea, but like when you actually start to using it, it's not that good. Like, that could be better. If we do it this little bit different, then it would be much more useful. And that's how it grew. Like, it changed like quite a bit actually over the weeks.
Yes. And we're gonna change it a lot more in the upcoming year. So we're trying to make a list of all the stuff that is really necessary, just in Blueprints itself, make the selectors easier so you can build more powerful UIs around it. We want to do a Blueprint store. So the current way with the forums is kind of like a stopgap measure. Like, it's a nice way for people to post their blueprints and share, but it's kind of annoying, right? Like, you have Home Assistant. Home Assistant knows which devices you have. It knows which integrations you have loaded. You should be able to just see a list with blueprints that are compatible, for example.
Oh.
I mean, right now, if you're looking, Bram gave that demo during the conference that actually went really well for a demo of automating his IKEA remote. But that's only, he used ZHA. But if you use decons or if you use another way of integrating Zigbee, you have to have a different approach. And so then there's 3 different blueprints. So, I mean, some people are looking into standardizing that as well among those integrations. I think that will be really, really difficult. But we can definitely make it easier to just not show the blueprints that are not for your.
Yeah, or allow the blueprint itself to be able to select the right mode, right? Then the integrations don't have to adapt, but the blueprint could. Doesn't make the blueprint easier though, but like there are many approaches here. I kind of like what Thomas Leuven just said in the chat. He said like the exclamation mark input changed the name like a day before the release. That actually happened. We have like in Blueprints, we have like the exclamation mark input that defines the inputs for the blueprint. That was actually named placeholder, I believe. Yeah, placeholder.
Yeah, placeholder.
So it has been called placeholder for like 2 release cycles already, almost 2 release cycles, while during development, and the day before the conference, I believe even.
No, I think the day before the beta. Like the last.
No, it was changed during beta.
Yes, it was during the beta.
But like really last minute, it was just like flipped around and from like one of the naming changed just because like the feedback people gave, like that's a weird term, but we all thought it was logical, and actually it turned out pretty nice. So
It's working great, definitely.
great example.
What should we talk a bit about Z-Wave? I mean,
We can talk about Z-Wave. Is
we can talk
anybody?
about-
Sure.
no, they think the developer of OpenZ-Wave has indicated that he has less time for working on OpenZ-Wave, and OpenZ-Wave has been the foundation of what we have built our first Z-Wave integration on. And then we announced in the State of the Union 2019, so over a year ago, that we were going to work on the second iteration, which was based on a OpenZ-Wave over MQTT approach. And that one has been like in development over the last year. We wrote a lot of code and integrating it, and it's been for a bunch of people it works really well. For some people it hasn't. There's been some issues. We see mainly with like slower devices that sometimes run into hiccups, or some weird Z-Wave devices. I mean, not everything is always spec compliant, and we realized that like there's still a bunch of bugs to be fixed in OpenZ-Wave. But the problem with OpenZ-Wave is that it's written in C++. And so Justin, the main maintainer of OpenZ-Wave, like he knows his project through and through. So I mean, he writes C++ like there's no other. But we couldn't really help him, and so we were running into these bugs. And then Justin had some computer problems. He got like he wrote on the forums. He got a promotion at work, which took a lot of time, and he just kind of lost interest. So he wasn't fixing the bugs fast enough. Then he actually got a bunch of people complaining to him that he should fix the bugs faster, and there was a bunch of entitlement from people that like, hey, this is like, you need to fix my Z-Wave network because Z-Wave is not working. And so Justin said now this week, he was like, well, this sucks. Like, I'm just going to work on my own pace. I don't really care about anyone else. And if you want something done, then you need to have, just write the code yourself. And so we've been looking with the team has been working on Z-Wave. we looked into it. It was like, well, we're hitting a wall. We're just really not really sure how to move next. And so in the meanwhile, in the last year, a new Z-Wave driver actually appeared. So Z-Wave is a very complicated standard. OpenZ-Wave was started 11 years ago, mainly reverse engineered in the beginning. And in the end, it could check with the spec, which has been published also, I think, at the end of 2019-ish. But the Z-Wave JS driver has been based on the spec that has been publicly available. And so it's a new implementation. It's purely based in JavaScript, or in TypeScript, actually, which is the same language we use for our front end. And they're working actively on it. And so right now, the Z-Wave people work on the Z-Wave integration. They've decided that they're going to give a try to create a third iteration of our Z-Wave integration. So this is a new integration. The other two remain available. And if those work for you today, keep using them. But the third iteration will be using Z-Wave JS as the core, and then with a small wrapper around it that will forward the events into Home Assistant. So if you use Home Assistant with the operating system and add-ons, it will be very easy to install because the add-on will be installed for you. It will be just transparent. If you are using a Docker container, you have to spin up a Z-Wave JS server Docker container, which should be pretty straightforward, or you can just run a JavaScript application. Not everything is there right now. So we're obviously, this project is also not finished, right? No, I think the Z-Wave is so complicated, there will always be complicated stuff. But there's movement happening, and the people that are working on the Z-Wave integration are working really hard. And I think, I don't know, I think there will be a alpha version available in the next release. That's what I assume.
Whoa. Okay, but we have a longer release cycle now. So
alpha version. So
it's 3 weeks. So there's 3 weeks from now, we should definitely have sensors and binary sensors available.
Right. And also for old new Z-Wave add-on, I will keep that up to date with the XML changes like before. Now did at least all 2 months a small update with the XML files, or 3 months.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's a lot of choice, and there are a lot of pros and cons between each of the solutions, right? Like at this point, it seems like Z-Wave ES is like really like favored. Like there's a lot of rumor, and like I'm not sure. Like there's definitely good points to it, right? And it has definitely potential. That's for sure. It's with all these things. It's like I don't know. Like Open Z-Wave is around for 11 years, and there's so much choice and so much things to weigh and so much things to take into mind. Like, is there a right choice? I don't know at this point.
I mean, in the end of the day,
choice is
I think it's. I mean, I wish that like nowadays it's more common. I think, but back when Z-Wave started, they should have created their own open source implementation, which would make it super easy for people to get started with Z-Wave, like as a product manufacturer.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, if I would like to start and create a Z-Wave gateway today, I have to try build the whole stack from scratch and have my own bugs and like it's a very steep level to get started. Where I mean, this is where actually Chip comes in. Chip is building this open source reference implementation together with the standard. Of course, it's a different. Z-Wave is like a sub-gigahertz standard, and Chip will be on the 2.4 gigahertz, so it will have interference problems in a different way than Z-Wave, and it will be some different standards. But I think Chip is doing. It's a smart move there, and I think Z-Wave could really benefit from this. So I really hope we could get more Z-Wave companies that use Z-Wave to rally around Z-Wave JS, for example, and like make it a de facto standard.
It's a problem we see a lot. Like in Zigbee world, you have like the spec is like freely more, so that not everybody follows a specification. And Z-Wave has very good specifications and very strict, kinda, but not all manufacturers like keep it to the spec. And then you have the stack, which is not like that common and very complicated. Like Z-Wave is really complicated.
Yeah.
Like it's no wonder why like Z-Wave in general, like Z-Wave devices in general are more expensive, right? Compared to like Zigbee, which at this point seems to be like, I don't know, like almost giveaway.
But both technology have the same issue, that it needs to have active maintained library with keep the new device up to date. New device comes out and they need to be updated to support the new devices.
Yeah.
Somebody says technically Aquara isn't even Zigbee.
That is very true.
Yeah.
Yes.
Basically, yes.
But I think the Akara isn't. But the newer generation of the sensors you can get on AliExpress, they are all Zigbee 3.0 certified generally, and so that's good because those tend to work with less quirks. The old Akara stuff was, from what I hear from our Zigbee integration devs, a real big pain in the butt, not spec compliant at all.
Well, I bought like the IKEA repeater for Zigbee and the Osram switches to have repeaters in the house to have a stable Zigbee network, and Aquara doesn't use the same standard, and they just disconnect, and I lose devices, sensors. Like I have to re-add them, and then at some point, some time of the day, week, month, I don't know, I will lose them again. And that's because they don't use like the standard they should be using. And that's why people are starting to consider to move away from Aquara devices or trying another solution, maybe put more decon sticks in their houses to have a more stable mesh.
I think the thing with the Akara getting forgotten is actually because you need to check in like every, I don't know, if it's like hour or something, or if you don't like send any data for too long, they think you left the network. And so Akara is waiting longer between sending "I'm still alive" packets than other devices will think that they, according to the spec, and then other devices are like, oh, the sensor is gone. I actually see Robert in the chat. He's one of our Zigbee devs. Robert, you want to join? You're going to ping me on Discord if you want to join. Somebody's asking if I use Blue at my home. I use I use Odroid M2 Plus. At my home, I don't have the case just yet, but it's waiting for me when I get home. And my parents, I have a case here. So I still have to put it on my Odroid M2 Plus.
That's also a thing with Blue. Like I often talked with Frank on the Blue. Like I really want one. I just like it, but I have a Nook running Home Assistant. I have like a Ferrari running the system, and I don't see any need to get one. But I want one so badly. That's the thing. And I think a lot of people in the community have or had the same issue. There's a lot of people, like also Marcel. He had it running on a server, and he just bought an M2 because a Blue, because it's just so beautiful and it represents what Home Assistant actually is. It's like that small device that runs your house.
Right. I mean, that's really how we've also designed it. And like, we didn't need aluminium. You can just put like a plastic box around it. But we wanted it to be beautiful, right? But it had to be something that I also like want to show to people.
Like the one tweet Home Assistant retweeted, like the one who had it hanged on its backboard.
Oh, the IKEA wall.
That was awesome. Good. That's awesome. Like this displayed that was really awesome.
Yeah. Okay, I see Robin has joined. So he's one of our in-house Zigbee experts.
The experts now.
Hey, mate. Happy New Year.
Hey, Race. Happy New Year's, everyone.
Yeah, we do a loading speaker.
Oh, boy. I want to spoil one thing because I think this is like people don't know. But the Home Assistant Blue, at least the case, we actually leaked it in multiple ways during before the keynote. Like the Home Assistant conference banner inside Home Assistant config panel, the background was actually the Home Assistant Blue case. The blue background was the Home Assistant Blue case. It was a photo. And during the release party before the Home Assistant conference, like the stream started too early, and Bram actually showed it on stream in the first couple of seconds.
Yeah.
Nobody noticed. Like he didn't sleep for a couple of days because he thought he spoiled the surprise. But that we leaked it in two ways, like one not so, it was actually instead, but one on purpose. That was actually pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, you did a really good job on the design.
Yeah,
it's
it's
cool,
really beautiful. If I hadn't run a bigger machine, I would definitely have bought one.
See, that's the thing.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Well, I have a Core i5 server which I run Unraid on, and I used to run like just the Home Assistant container version, but I switched to the Odroid once I got that, and then that's been just using my Odroid to run Home Assistant and the add-ons and stuff. Yeah, because it's just so beautiful. I have it sitting on top of my, it's not in my server rack, but like on top of the shelf, so it's like visible to anyone that comes into my office.
But Paulus, you've been traveling the world. You don't bring your server rack around, right?
No, I don't. No, I did park my server at my friend's house, and my Odroid is in a. Oh, I took it actually to the Netherlands in my bag, and then it died from static electricity or something.
Yeah, and no cover.
Oh, yeah, I had no cover. I had no case on it. I just put it like in my clothes. So, yeah.
But we was able to fix it.
Right. Actually, we figured out it was a certain build problem or something. I don't know. But yeah. So, Robert, Zigbee, what do you think? What's your opinion?
Oh, it's a bag of hurt. When you get it working, it works, right?
Which part of Zigbee do you work on in Home Assistant?
So I'm working mainly on integrating the higher level stack. So I'm integrating the decons implementation. So I'm using their network API to integrate with the Home Assistant system. So I'm mainly responsible for the integration of decons. So my expertise is more on the network level and how everything works in Home Assistant. And I've been doing it for, I think it's 4 years now.
4 years already.
With this project, yeah. Yeah, there it is.
That's the...
I use it in my productive home, and I'm very happy with the integration.
Yeah.
It works fine.
I use the decon.
It's really stable here as well.
Yeah, I have but my dad is on the ZHA now. My parents. Oh, this reminds me. Actually, I saw today somebody was on the Reddit, Home Assistant Reddit, which, by the way, our subreddit has passed 100,000 subscribers.
So cool.
It's amazing. But what I want to say is, somebody was talking about like putting a decon stick inside the Home Assistant Blue directly, and you should not do that, because the Home Assistant Blue has USB 3.0, and USB 3.0 ports don't do well with radios that are 2.4 gigahertz. Like, they interfere too much. So you really would want to have a USB extension cable for your Zigbee and Z-Wave sticks. So try to keep them away from your server, your Raspberry Pi, etc. Bye, Frank.
Did you say to put it inside?
No,
because
outside.
Metal casing as well. Yeah, okay.
No. It has to be, like, I don't know. I have it somewhere here. This is I guess it's just out of scope, but
yeah.
I have a long cable here to put the stick like further away, towards the rest of the house. And don't put it close to your boards or to the server.
Yeah.
Or just a small one.
Yeah.
But yeah, in my cellar I have a 3-meter cable to get on top. But for my test I use small extension cable like that.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the best way. Oh, what's happening? People, I don't know, just
drop out.
Yeah, I don't know. Is this a StreamYard crashing? Andrea, did you just disconnect yourself?
Yes, I had to. But it's okay.
Sorry, I dropped out. Not sure.
Yeah.
Well, Frank, you dropped out and Andrea dropped out. So I was like, is StreamYard crashing?
No, actually, this was my PC, so it's not StreamYard's fault. I have too much stuff open because of still have the video editing for the conference stuff, and I don't know, just too much.
How many videos are left?
A lot. We just published the opening, closing, and 3 keynotes of the 16 in total.
Yeah.
So that's quite a bit.
It went really well, the conference. It was really fun to watch.
It was too much.
It was a bit stressful. Yeah. It was hard to grasp and decide everything in time to exactly what you wanted to view, really. But it was stressful, just as a real-life conference, right?
I think that one of the things, like the conference platform that we used, because of the conference feeling of you're going to different rooms and there are different chats and they're all kind of synced up. But the quality that was streamed towards YouTube was higher, I feel, sometimes than the people actually saw inside the conference platform. And the conference platform, I mean, you want to watch it on your TV, it lacks some flexibility, I think.
I think if they had better quality and a decent stream, that would make it golden. The experience it gave, for me at least, it gave a true conference feeling. I think that was golden, what they are doing well. There were people on different stages watching and chatting the things they liked, and meanwhile there were sessions going on from previous talks that were having Q&As, and people were everywhere. And everywhere people were talking and doing things, and Like I enjoyed it at least.
Yeah, I think the sessions a lot of people missed that were just watching the stream, but after each talk, a session was started on like in the session rooms where people could have Q&A and the speaker could invite people that were asking questions onto the stage, so they would also join the live stream and people could have like an interaction like that other people could watch. So that was really nice.
Yeah, the Q&A sessions worked really well afterwards. Me and Hunter and Raman was hosting one for developers, and it worked really well, jumping people in and outside of the chats and the video streams. Really fun experience.
Yeah, I think that's something that like we looked at other like for example use YouTube, have like 3 live streams going and kind of mix it together, and that you miss that part, right, where you invite the people and like let's talk and stuff like this. So they did a nice job, and it costs money, so in the end it's the $1 ticket price was pretty much eaten up by the platform costs and then the credit card costs. But it's fine. Like we were able to pull it off. 4,500 people bought a ticket and actually joined the talks. So that was really cool.
People was happy, and that's the important thing. Also, the networking was quite a bit often used. The random chats. That was cool.
Yeah. And what I really amazed me is the people that did the talks. Like there was a great diversity in the type of talks and what they were doing, but also like how they did it. Like the fireman in the fire station, that was epic, right? But also like the guy at the fireplace who was actually like people have to know this was all live. Like nothing was pre-recorded. We chose to do everything live to keep it like as natural as possible, but also like things can't go wrong. It must be like a real conference. And like there was that guy that did his fireplace. He actually did ESP Home and connected it like live on stream. He was actually like working and putting in a screwdriver in his fireplace like on stream, and Ram was doing his home assistant the blueprint demonstration on the keynote. Actually, that went really wrong during the rehearsals. Like the first time was not like okay, like we changed the stuff up, and the second time the demo failed. So well, at least it went okay during the real keynote. So actually, all these things like how it all went and how it all looked and what all the speakers did and how they made like decorations and it was just amazing. It was so cool.
Yeah. Did you notice that Thomas put like Thomas did the talk with the Ultimate Automations, right? So he had the dollhouse where you could he could make it dark and you saw the lights of the dollhouse go on. You could move forward time. It became morning and the lights would go off and you would open the door, lights would go on again. So on the right of his dollhouse, there was actually a giraffe helicopter, which was a reference to the giraffe helicopter in my keynote from the year before.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Easter egg.
Easter egg, yeah.
Yeah. I actually had some Duplo shots. I had some Duplo shots prepared. It just didn't fit into my story this time. So that's too bad.
It's Lego. Can always talk about Lego.
Yeah. Well, I think my son will go into Lego for the next conference. So maybe that. Oh, there you go.
Star Wars Lego.
Yeah. Right. The Lego for the next age.
Yeah, that's why I have home automation. I don't want to have any dark spots where I can step on Legos everywhere.
That's why you have movement-based automations, like switch on the lights whenever you move, so you don't step on Legos. But
exactly.
Beware the day you will work on your automations and you screw up your automations, and then you will pay it with pain.
It's nothing worse than the morning you went to pick up coffee because you really need it, and then you step in with your bare feet into some toys like a Lego. Indeed,
well,
those are the best mornings.
Well, I've learned something. Before the small Lego, there's also Lego Duplo.
Yeah,
that's the big blocks. I know why they are there. That's like for us to prepare for what's coming next. Like the first time you step in one of these, it's painful, but it's bearable. But you'll know, like the next time it will be a lot more painful. So learn from the experience.
Has any of you, just to put on a new topic, has any of you used the Nabucasa text-to-speech voices that got
Yes.
released in
Yeah.
2012? They are really, really good. So if you are a subscriber to Home Assistant Cloud, we have now made available all the neural network powered voices that Azure offers just for free as part of the subscription. And these voices sound really, really, really good.
Yes, they do.
They have also Swiss German support. That's really cool. Yeah, it's not the official language, so it's really fun. It works.
Yeah.
Can you decide on what encoding it will be received in? Because I would like to use it with cameras that don't use popular encodings of audio.
I think right now it's all MP3. I think.
Yeah.
Do you not? Does Access not have MP3?
Possibly on the newer ones, but I don't sit on the newer ones right now.
That's I didn't realize that Access you could just send audio files to.
Yeah, I had a prototype like 4 years ago on GStreamer, but it wasn't portable as with most parts of the components back then. That's why I rewrote all the RTSP implementation into Python. But the transcoding of the audio codec, I postponed that part.
Okay.
In hope that the firmware would support MP3.
Right. So for the people that don't know, Robert also maintains the Access integration with his security camera, and he also works at Access. Right?
Oh.
Yes. So, but it's it's cool to just be able to play just stuff on your cameras too.
Yeah. So it gives me the possibility to understand the product in a different way, since I don't work in software development normally during the day work, since I'm project management.
Are you product management?
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't know. I always somehow assumed you were like a software engineer.
Yeah.
Well,
me too.
in the bones, but at work, no. So that's why I need to get my feet wet with Home Assistant to get down with the day, right?
Right. I mean, I see this actually also with like other contributors, right? There's like, we have a few people that are software engineering directors, right? They're managers now, and they no longer really get to program. And so then they come to Home Assistant to scratch their itch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm selling Home Assistant to my own directors right now. So I'm going to have a 1-hour class with one of them next week to introduce him. He built a pool and he needs to make sure that it doesn't freeze in the winter. And I say, yeah, you need to use HomeKit and Home Assistant to build up and expose everything in a simple manner. So let's just show everything. I'm going to run it up from the basics and just set it up and show him what he can do with, I think he's going to use Xiaomi and the Xiaomi gateway, unfortunately, but it's a start.
I mean, yeah, but it's a bad start.
Yeah, but maybe, who knows? Maybe give him 1 year, and in 1 year he will have Home Assistant Blue and Beacon Stick and a lot of more devices and much less time, huh? Because everybody who starts with Home Assistant just starts like, oh, it will be a side project, and then 3 weeks in, you're like.
Paul did a talk this year or last year. He did a talk at a Dutch conference, like a Dutch online conference. And like all those people that were organizing that conference were not really into Home Assistant, like one guy, I believe. And I feel like we're feeling right now, like everybody there is now running Home Assistant. It's like that little sneaky rabbit hole, like don't touch it. But if you do, you get pulled in and like, yeah.
Yeah. So he asked me if there was an easy way to track the temperature in his pool house. So I sent him a link to a Swedish company called M.Nu, which is one of the big ones selling the Has Blue device as well. And they always have a big disclaimer on top of their website saying that home automation is it's catching on. So don't enter this page if you want to keep your sanity, something like that.
Addictive.
So,
Or
and I told him to not believe what he reads on the internet. So.
Yeah, and there's also like who is that guy in Australia? The Have I Been Pwned guy? What's his name?
Troy.
Troy. He's done amazing stuff. Like just his write-ups and how he's using Home Assistant. And I was always amazed. Like he actually found the time to use it, and as a busy person, like as a hobby, he just started. He dipped his feet, and he just got pulled in. That's the thing. Like if you start with Home Assistant and you just give it a chance, you just get pulled in, and you're in this big community, and everybody's helping everybody. And there's not like, oh, because you're using Z-Wave, you're bad. You should be using Zigbee, and there's nothing like that.
Right. He did a great write-up. He did like a 5-part blog series about like all the stuff he's doing with Home Assistant. And I think the 5th part, he made like 11 videos, which were really, really cool. Just like, this is the LEDs, whatever, in his kids' rooms, or like when he comes down in the evening, and then like the lights will light up, or at night, and really cool. Yeah, but I mean, this is where I when I see like ahead in the future of Home Assistant, the things he is doing, or the things many of us are doing, a lot of us are doing the same things. And I think with blueprints, we're already consolidating on those things a lot, right? We're already making it easy. Oh, you want the lights to turn on when there's motion? Well, now we have a built-in blueprint for you. But there's still people have to go look for blueprints. So they need to know they have a problem. They need to know there's a solution, and they have to look for the solution and find it at the right keyword. And I think that's I think for certain things we need to make it even easier, right? So for example, if you have an IKEA remote, like it's cool that Bram was able to automate it in 5 minutes. But I think that if you have an IKEA remote and you add that to an area in Home Assistant, it should just control the lights, period, by default. Like that should just be the default. We shouldn't have to ask you to even create an automation to make a remote work, for example. I think that's where 2021 we can start adding some specific features like that, just to like do more automations like out of the box. Quiet.
No, it's true. But we've like, if you look at like last year and past 2 years, as soon as you started making things easier, right? As soon as that like became a thing, like everything flew and like changed and like became more usable, and so much like where to start. And sure, there's a lot of things we still can do. Definitely.
Yeah, you mentioned this before, the cross integration blueprints. I guess that's when we solved that one, it's a really good step on the way for user ease of use.
Yeah, I think the nice thing with blueprints is we really put the burden of complexity on the advanced users. They can share their knowledge, but anyone can benefit from it, right? You don't need to know how automations work. You just set up a blueprint, you configure it, and you're good to go.
Yeah, and for remote, I mean, it's just not Zigbee or Z-Wave. Also, Homatics all works the same. Short press, long press. It are so many. It's a button. I think we can streamline that better over many integration buttons.
Better buttons, 2021.
So about 2021, like just to dig in something, like do you guys have any like good New Year's resolutions for your smart home?
Fix it. I've been sharing this with you for a long time. Like just go through my logs and just.
But that was last year's resolution for you, I guess.
Yeah, but it's still it's ongoing. It's like losing weight. It's every year the same resolution.
I've set up the Sentry integration, right? And it sends like errors, and then I always intend on fixing them, but then I get too many emails, so I start ignoring them. So, yeah, I think my New Year resolutions. Well, I'm working on automating the air conditioning that my parents had installed this summer. So it's Hire, I think is the brand, and there's an ESP Home component for it. Like it's a custom component written in C++. I have no idea how that works. It's like a binary protocol. But I was able to get this code, and I found a bug already, and I've been fixing some things. But I actually found a bug in the air conditioning itself too, which is kind of annoying. So when I turn it on from my ESP Home device to a Home Assistant, the UI, the physical UI that shows what is happening will show the cooling icon while it's actually heating, which is annoying because then, of course, my parents will be confused what the air conditioning is doing, and then they don't like it. So I don't know if there's like a firmware update available. This doesn't have Wi-Fi, so I don't know. But it's
The problem is, will they complain to you or to the manufacturer?
exactly to the installer that is going to maintain it, like the air conditioning installer. No, I don't know. I think the nice thing about air conditioning is actually it can also do hot air, right? So I'm going to use it in my mom's office to like allow her to heat it up before she goes to the office because the room where she is in is very poorly insulated, so it's super cold, for example. So that's the kind of stuff I want to automate this year. Well, that's in my parents' house, but that's where I am right now. So
yeah,
I don't really.
Well, another resolution I have for myself is just get some automations working and running, making my house smarter, like really smart, like not like now. I want to use my voice assistant less. And there is James Callaghan who has done a lot of automations in that way. Like the house follows him when he's doing his stuff, and we had some demos during the keynote, the conference, and that's the thing I really want to do. Like use the switches less, learn, go through the logs, and understand what's happening and how I can automate it without me having to physically touch anything. That's a big goal.
You should talk to Pascal. Pascal has this in his house, right?
Yeah, I at this moment every wall switch. I don't have any kind of switch. I just have motion sensors or presence sensor in my rooms.
That's the idea in the end. Like not touch anything. And
I have 4 kids, and all my kids press buttons and turn out the light, so it doesn't work anymore with the presence detection. So I hate that. So I dismount every switch and buttons and just automate the home, and it works perfect.
Didn't you also tell that your kids, when they come to other places, that they're all fascinated by the buttons?
Yeah, that looks a bit scary. But if I go to friends or so, my kids play all time on the buttons, on the light button. And look, I can turn the light. I can turn it on, off, on, off, on, off. Hey, please go away.
Don't.
Yeah.
They
Hey,
didn't
Pascal,
know that. Yeah.
there's a question from Albert Hoekstra. He asked, "What presence sensor do you use?"
I use the presence sensor. I have that's my goal for this year, to install all the devices there. I use that from Homatics.
yes.
Yeah.
What room is that? German or Swiss?
That is German. And
So
they
the
are
nice thing, oh yeah,
they are powered with a AA battery, and they have 3 years battery. And they are not just motion sense detection; they are presence detection. So they see any small motion and don't turn off the light if you are on the toilet and use your smartphone or so, and don't make any motions. or sleep on a couch. That it just works.
They have their own communication protocols, don't they?
Yeah. Yes. That's 800 megahertz, and I use a USB stick on my Blue and the add-on, so it works just like the Deacons, but with homatics.
That's really the thing I wish I would understand, like just understand how battery things work and communication stuff, and that's way out of my league. All the Home Assistant stuff and all the development and hardware stuff. Like I just put some stuff together, try to understand ESP Home for the reader now. I'm just using that as an example. And I wish I could understand more radio frequency communication, understand how we could make more devices for Home Assistant, specific for Home Assistant that would use very less battery, not much battery, just like be kind on the battery, like just motion detection and all that stuff, but not use a proprietary protocol. That would be nice. But like even your devices, it would be nice if instead of batteries, you would have like LiPos, rechargeable ones.
Yeah.
It was 3 years. Then you change it like max 20 times your lifetime.
Yes.
Maybe or something, right? Like
maybe more. I think I live since 3 or 4 years now in this house, and I never changed the battery, so they are still fine.
That's really good.
Have you attached them to the ceiling, Pascal, or where are they placed?
Yeah, to the ceiling. You can dismount that and touch it, and it's like fire.
Okay.
Smoke sensor. So I use Aquara in the floor, but if on a place where people are staying, like a living room or office or sleepy rooms or play rooms, I use this sensor, but they're very expensive. They are around $50.
Yeah,
and much more than a Philips Hue sensor.
Yeah.
True.
And
that's actually, sorry, Pascal, go for it.
And on the floors there are just walking trough and never stay along in the floor, so they are cheap Aquara motion sensors. So.
Talking about the Philips Hue sensors, Robin, you shared. I think you shared with me that Philips Hue has a API now to push changes to us, right?
Yeah.
So this means we haven't implemented it yet. I still need to get my hands on a Hue version 2 hub, but this means that right now, the way Philips Hue works in the Home Assistant, every 5 seconds we ask the Philips Hue hub, what's up? Anything changed? Any new lights? What's the last time your sensors changed? And we get this big piece of data back, and we parse it, and then we compare it to what's in Home Assistant, and we update Home Assistant as accordingly. That's kind of annoying, because it means that if you have a motion sensor in Philips Hue, it can be up to 5 seconds delayed. And we've always had these fights because I don't want us to hammer the Home Assistant. So I don't want to have Home Assistant make so many requests to Philips Hue hub that your Philips Hue hub dies, because we've seen this happen, and then people blame Home Assistant. So I said, Home Assistant, only maximum every 5 seconds we make a request to Philips Hue. But what happens is that with motion sensors, this sucks. This is a really poor experience. So finally, after 8 years being in the market, Philips Hue is adding this API, so we will be instantly notified when there's a motion happening in the house.
Yeah, I have to give creds to Thomas at Hue Essentials. He's the one who showed me the data I linked to you. That was the main reason I went over to Deacons and made Deacons integration, was because you can't use the remotes, you can't use the sensors. It's nearly one-way integration, really. It's really annoying.
So please don't fix it, Paul, as we lose. He will migrate back.
Right.
I don't think so, because they don't have that well support for third-party devices.
Yeah.
Even though I mainly use Philips Hue devices, because they are really the best.
I do like the Philips Hue. I think the IKEA, I like the light bulbs, but I like the the switches of IKEA, and they're so big. It's just, I mean, it's, I think that I have other light switches which are just like super tiny, and then the IKEA ones, it's just too bulky. They block two sockets.
The rotary one is really great.
Oh,
Yeah,
this the IKEA.
Yeah. I like the panels. They are really nice for making light.
Yeah, that remote is like.
I have one, but
it's somewhere behind me, I think.
I have 10
that's
or
why
more.
I used it for the blueprints for testing, because that's the one that I have in my box right here, unused, right? So, but a lot of people have it, I guess. Now, I had my first Philips Hue failure this week, actually.
Oh,
Like I have the Philips Hue ceiling lights, which are like pretty nice lights, actually. But the one in my bedroom actually didn't turn off when we went to bed in the middle of the night. And I was like,
kept the red.
No, well, first I was like, okay, this is maybe a communication error. So you go into Home Assistant, and then you start to panic, like something is wrong. Then you, like, last thing you try is restarting the whole darn thing. Like, maybe that's something there, right? And then the remote, is it the remote? No, it's not the remote. Let's try it from Home Assistant. Let's do the service call. Nothing works. And then you end up discovering that actually, like, it doesn't even respond to the reset command using a Philips Hue remote. So the thing actually just died on me and just was on in the middle of the night.
So are you trying all these things in the middle of the night?
Well, what else do you have to do? It's like a bright light at 100% above your bed.
Don't you have a power plug?
You cannot sleep.
Just
that's hard to
speed it up. Like the wall switch.
Which wall switch?
Yeah, you didn't have a wall switch there.
No.
Well,
He lives at Pascal's.
No wall switch. But the thing is just like, this is the first time it happened with Philips Hue to me. Like, and I still don't know. It doesn't respond to anything anymore.
That's another thing we actually were discussing a lot when I was building my house with my wife. We were discussing what are we going to do with lights and all that stuff. And I had a lot of people. I got also a lot of dumb questions like, what will you do with your windows or with your lights when there's no power? And I was like, I won't use them anyways. Smart home. But on the other side, I said, okay, what will happen if my smart system dies? I still want to be able to use my switches, and like I don't want to have everything connected to Home Assistant, and that's why I use KNX in the end.
It's a compromise in my case. Like, and on one end, I would like to be able to dim and change the color mood of lights. And if you want to do that, you're going into changing bulb or changing lights instead of just switches, automating them. And somebody told me just unscrew the plug, the bulb. And that doesn't work. I have the Philips Hue ceiling lights, like the complete light, and they're like, there are no bulbs in there. It's just like the whole thing. It's just one piece. Like, there's no
LED.
Yeah, if the light turns off, you throw away the complete light, like something like that. And I'm not sure how that works. I'm not sure what to do, but it was kind of nice
inside of it.
Yeah, there's a LED strip inside of it, indeed. But this ended up being like unscrewing the whole darn thing and getting it unplugged from like from the wires using a screwdriver in the middle of the night to get it from the ceiling. I tried to reset it, but didn't help either. So.
But I think you said you built a new or you built a new home. So I think KNX are really common if you build a new house. And what we do is mostly if you have exist house, we extend that to be smart. But if you build a new house from scratch, there are complete different technologies to use for that.
I really want to introduce KNX to my house for wiring everything. They have the design of their remotes or buttons on the wall are really nice and interactive. It's really awesome. But how you have it integrated with Home Assistant using an IP gateway?
Yes, exactly. And it's awesome.
How's the performance?
So that was a discussion I had, I think, on Twitter or on Discord. For me, it's working fine, but I only have like 100 devices, and there are people having a lot of more addresses, like groups, or maybe I have like even more groups. But there are people having a lot more of groups, and then their IP gateways are starting to act up somehow. I've been hearing some stuff like MDT. I'm talking specifically MDT. So you will have to have a more performant IP gateways for that stuff then. But for me, it's working fine, and I have like really nice power wall switches. And the only issue is if you start trying like if you want to add Zigbee in your house, like Frank has or everybody else, people just change their light bulbs and they have a bridge. They have another mesh point. In my case, I have to add power plugs somewhere just to be able to have a powerful mesh. And I'm looking for places where can I put a USB repeater or something like this just to have a stable mesh. That's the problem that KNX introduces, which other people like just upgrading their home don't. And price-wise, I think a chat-free light bulb isn't that expensive anymore. Like if
IKEA has really pushed the price down.
Exactly. If you have a dump house and just start upgrading one room at once, that might be a good solution in the end.
Yeah. I like the IKEA bulbs. Those are pretty okay for the price.
With both Zigbee and Z-Wave, you can actually set up direct associations, right? You can have wall switches talk directly to the lights, so you don't need to. Home Assistant doesn't need to be involved, right? It can just go directly.
Yes.
And if you do it that way, you could still read the state and check if the switches are pressed or not inside Home Assistant, while the light just works normally. But another alternative is, of course, a Shelly. The Shelly one. Put it behind your switches and have it. What's the English term of hotel schakeling, Frank?
Not sure, actually.
It's the idea that there's two switches. No, it's like a cross switch where like two switches are controlling one light. So it's no longer the state of the switch, but the toggling of the switch will toggle the light.
Yeah.
It's a trap, a stair connector.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the Shelly does this with a switch, but then the other switch is a Wi-Fi switch that sits behind it. That way you can press the button or use Wi-Fi and just know that like you can always toggle it. But you can also, if you put a smart bulb in your ceiling, you could put it in like detached state, and then you could have the changing this switch will just be send as a command to Home Assistant, which can then talk to your smart bulb. But then of course
I saw a cool thing. It's not Shelly, but it's Sonoff. They have a. I can't link it. I'm not logged in to the chat, but I can link it on YouTube. It's a USB adapter that you can control over Wi-Fi as well. I have never seen any device like that before. It's like a power plug, but it's only USB in both ends instead. And the link is too long to share on. Yeah, I'll send it to you, Paulus. Maybe you can share it instead.
I think Justin, Dr. Z showed that one off, or Rob once. It's like it's a small USB plug with a switch on top.
Yeah.
And you can
a USB port in the other end.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Another thing about Shelly, Paulus. Two things actually. First thing is a question. When will a Home Assistant add RGBV support for the Shelly?
So it barely missed this release. Now there's a pull request open and they're working on it. But we were all on holiday, so we didn't review it. So there were some things that were blocking, and I left some comments, but we couldn't make it for the beta anymore. So.
And the other thing I noticed for the German audience is I've noticed that Bauhaus, a big German like home building, they are starting to sell Shelly light bulbs.
Seriously, I got one here.
I've just watched their catalog, because in Luxembourg we are still on lockdown, and you can go to shop, but you have to order online. And I was looking for light bulbs, and I saw that they are selling Shelly light bulbs. So maybe they will start also sell Shelly adapters for the plugs and
the relays. Yeah,
because those guys are actually badass.
That's the one I like most about the Shelly. I think that the light bulbs. I mean, it's the Wi-Fi light bulb, and it's just that doesn't have to be Wi-Fi per se for me. I have one here though. I mean, I did install one, but I think for light bulbs, I would prefer like Zigbee or something like this.
I mean,
Can we get back on track on the 2021 New Year's resolutions?
Oh boy.
I know
You
me
have
and
one?
Frank haven't. Yeah, I think I have 3. I would like to start using the front end of Home Assistant. It's still the old design. It's the latest release always, but it's still the old design with all the badges and everything, and it's auto-generated and stuff. Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Badges.
on that topic, I am going to remove all the badges from the auto-generated UI. There is
Yeah.
the moment like you set up anything, it's just messed up, right? And we've already been like proactively removing, like the mobile app doesn't show up on your dashboard anymore and stuff like that. And it's just it doesn't work. We need to start whitelisting and not like block listing. And so or allow listing and block listing. We need to like I don't know. We actually Zach has been working the front end on making strategies something that can be plugged in. So the idea is going to be that right now we have a generated Lovelace UI, but there's many other people that can write their own strategies and that they will be able to plug in as well because not everybody wants to have our strategy. Maybe there's another way of like mixing up your state of your house and showing a nice dashboard. So one of the things, for example, one of the ideas we had, well, maybe you want to have your main generated UI to be just an overview of all your areas, and then each step could be the digging into an area, and you could kind of like click to it, and it could all be automatically generated. But maybe someone else wants to build a generated UI for security that shows all your cameras, or maybe some
Battery overview.
Yes,
I don't know.
low battery. Well, that's one of those features I really want to build into the platform. Like it's not something that people have to hack into. But yeah, generated Lovelace dashboards are gonna get a big boost as well.
I think I'm going to follow Zach's YouTube presentation because I know Thomas, I think it was Thomas redid his front end using, he did a design or you using your new grid functionality
nice.
you introduced before.
Yeah, the grid changes everything. It makes things so easy to put in a grid, which obviously, it's one of those things.
Even I can have time now.
Yeah, it's one of those things when we added it was like, why did we never add this before? So.
That I feel like that's something that's hidden in every release, though.
True.
To be honest,
like the question, why didn't we add this before?
It's just so well. We just never thought of it, or like it's. I mean, I think part of it was browser support. So in the very beginning of Lovelace, the browser support for grid is actually using CSS, like a new grid. Is it called selector? No, grid property in CSS, and that was not widely supported. But nowadays, all the browsers that we support in the latest version support this CSS property. So.
I haven't tried it yet. That's also a thing. Like I want to change the Lovelace dashboard because I see so many different dashboards which are really nice, and I said, that could look nice. And then I look at mine and I say, nah, I'm okay. I'm fine.
You really, your dashboard is making most people drool. Like, how did he do that? And that's like funny to hear you talk about like your dashboard. Like
you have a overview of your house, like a floor plan, Andrea. And then you have when the garage door opens, you see the garage door opening, you see the car driving in based on the distance sensor. Like you have
come on.
I actually had to remove that option, and I only work on presence sensor of the cars anymore, so they're not driving in or out anymore because just the animation changed. I had to remove it because I'm using old tablets and they were dying on me because I was using too much CSS and other stuff and JavaScript, and my tablets were just, not the tablets were dying, but like Home Assistant was crashing every hour. and that's why I had to stop using that. And I think I removed almost every custom card. Like I'm just using the basic stuff, and I'm just focusing on trying to use that as much as I can. And since I started using that, Home Assistant has been a lot faster for me. Like not only.
I think there's like some.
Look. For people who don't know, this is one of Andrea's. Like this is an old tweet though, so this is 2019 or something.
Yeah, September 2019, like 1.5 years ago.
I mean, that is.
And the nice thing is, so every light bulb turns on, and it's tactile. And I was looking at different solutions, like maybe I should have one big dashboard, and then by clicking on the room, I would have a zoom on the room. But that would mean 2 clicks instead of 1, and usability-wise, it would add more time on the screen, touching stuff. And I try to have everything condensed on one screen and just 1 click, the most important things. And then if you want to see the cameras, I didn't add the cameras on the view then because I didn't see any need. I want to have the cameras all in one view, one big overview. And yeah, and then I have also every, wait, maybe I'm trying to share my screen. I'm not sure if that will work.
We can, oh no. Once you share it, we can plug you in.
Your screen sharing is easiest with 2 monitors. Yeah, wait, hold on. That might be. Give me 1 second. I'm just.
Oh boy!
I want to prepare for this.
A new kind of sharing. Real screen sharing. Or recording.
Yeah, he's holding his screen right now. He's picking it up to hold it in front of the webcam, right?
Getting people closer together.
Okay, so this should.
You can just screen share a tab, right?
So yeah. Hold on. I just need to give some time to my laptop to just recover from adding a second screen.
That's okay.
I'm really bad with my front end, so I think the demo looks even better than my my own dashboard.
Hold on. Where's all my stuff?
Don't you have a laptop you can show to the web camera?
Oh, that's bad. Don't do that.
That's how I've been showing stuff. Just show my phone in front of the camera.
Yeah, it works really well.
Let me check. Did they just kill my PC or not?
Well, you're still live.
I'm still live. That's good, but.
But I agree with Pascal. Frontend isn't my thing either. Like it's every time I try to like it's always a thing. What do you put on it? And how do you show it? And like would it be like a normal entity or a button and then you change it around too much and then it all isn't like one thing anymore, and then you try a new dashboard because like the other ones are not it, right? And then you have another half-baked dashboard, and then like that's my story with front end in general.
I hope with strategies we're going to be able to change that.
I hope we have a floor builder inside frontend. That would be nice.
I hope. I expect that to be part of phones at some point, right? Phones are already working on like 3D scanning objects and like surroundings, and it should be at some point technology come available that they can just scan your rooms and just put it into Home Assistant. But I don't really see the use case of it. Like I think that most people will use maybe quickly on their phone, maybe if you have it open on your computer, you want to control some things. But a lot of times a floor plan doesn't really work on a small device. So Andrea has his dashboard ready. Shall we take a look?
Oh, this is horrible. I see it.
Yes. So can you see? Can you see anything? So like right now I'm sitting in the office and I can just. Yes.
If you make your browser window a bit smaller, it will show bigger in the stream.
Yeah. Okay, hold on.
Oh, he's sharing his screen, like you see taskbar. So
Oh, you're not sharing the window.
no.
Yes. Hold on.
No, you're doing great.
Yeah, I'm trying to share the. Hold on.
Just zoom.
Can I zoom?
Well, there's a big zoom bar in the bottom
Like so?
right.
What browser is this?
Vivaldi.
Oh.
Vivaldi.
There's one. I have a love-hate relationship
sure
with this browser.
Yeah, it's better, more visible now.
Is it better?
What's that?
So, anyways, I can just switch on lights on and off by clicking on a button here. I can see in a view what lights are on. I have the temperatures which are available or not. I can see if my doors are locked. But then I use like that's my main view. And then for every floor, I've created another view just for that floor. What more details for that floor actually? So there's my heating pump, and there's like my ovens and the garage, and which windows are open and how much. And that's for every floor. I have this, and then that's for in each floor. That's the easy thing. And then one view with all my automations, my scripts, and all my stuff I try with my useful automations. And then if I scroll,
what do you use from this all? Right,
like
that's another thing.
Some scripts, tests I do.
No, so I have two questions when I see this, Andrea. One,
use the first one.
So yeah, go for it. Sorry. I have two questions. You have a switch
So I have
on the radio of your parents. Is that in their house?
Excuse me again?
You have a switch to turn on the radio of your parents, I saw on the first
Which
floor.
one?
It said radio parents.
No, that's okay. No, that's the parents' sleeping room. That's my sleeping room. Because we have radio. It's not a radio. It's like I have multi-room audio for the whole house, and I have a switch for my radio. I have a switch for the bathroom, for the kids' bathroom. But right now they are grouped like in the parent zone and the living zone.
Okay, and your dashboard neighbors.
And then so that's the funny thing. Neighbor and I share a Philips Hue light. Like it's connected to my Home Assistant, but it's outside. We share it for like lighting a tree in between our both gardens. And I gave him a remote, a Zigbee remote, but sometimes the remote Zigbee and Aquara won't work, so he also has a connection to my Home Assistant instance, and it's limited to only that dashboard. So that's the only thing I had available, and it's really bad. And that's why I think we should talk about one day, or maybe have a solution or custom solution. I don't know if there is a custom integration. I don't know that allows to just restrict access. I before used like the custom header, but that discontinued and archived, and I won't use that anymore. So I need to find a solution. Right now, he's locked out of my Home Assistant instance, but I need to find another solution for that one.
So there's actually
there's
a blog post on the developer blog about how you can actually. We have support in Home Assistant to limit which entities a user can see, control, or modify, and we use this. We haven't exposed this because I was building this when I initially built the authentication system, and I was like, man, we need it's called ACL, access control levels, and so you can say I want to give people access to this area, and they will automatically look up all the devices, look up the entities, and you can control these entities. You could do it, I think, on a config entry level, also give people access to this config entry, and the idea was to really build it out to make it really powerful. And then I realized that I was coding ourselves into a corner, right? Because once you add that to Home Assistant, every new feature we're going to add has to support this. And it meant just like everything was going to get super, super complicated. And in the end, it is an edge case, right? Most people will not need super fine granular control about all the devices in their houses if you use Home Assistant in your home, right? If you want to use Home Assistant differently, that's fine, but we shouldn't carry the burden to do that. So I decided to not have a UI for this feature and not really expose it.
Isn't this where MQTT shines?
Yes.
You could expose just these pieces of information.
Or simply a webhook, right? You could just define an automation with a webhook and make a big bad button on some website which somebody could click. I don't know.
That's the second approach I was thinking about. I didn't have time to do that one, but the big button is the better solution in the end, because giving someone access to your Home Assistant instance is cringy. It's just it makes me cringe every time. Like, he has access. He could just somehow have access to all my cameras and all the stuff, and that's something that makes.
How you should solve this is you buy him like a device that runs Home Assistant. You install that in his home. You teach him. And then you guys just exchange that simple thing with webhooks, and he has his own instance. And you can share it.
I've been bothering him for months and years. But the thing is, he's Hue. He's using only Hue. Since now they have power plugs, they have switches, they have sensors.
I really think you should try to get a camera with some AI on it, and he can just signal it in his window when he wants to see the tree. You can have it on proper distance.
I mean, I would have to have a camera pointing to his window.
Yeah.
Sure. Don't you guys do that in Luxembourg?
No. You'll have a visit. You will quickly exceed the 2 people restriction we are currently at. Like, police will come and
Well, then he will not be able to turn on the lights of the tree.
Well, we will find a solution. That was like the first solution when I got to Hue, but I said I will try to get a better solution than this one. I'm not liking it. But the webhook solution with a stupid website behind it is the best one.
Yeah, and then you could hook up that webhook to the suggestion from Andy Sawyer, which is an NFC tag reader in the hall. So once you scan the tag, it will hit the webhook, and then it will change the light.
But then it needs to be in my Wi-Fi, since it needs to know Home Assistant.
No.
Oh, you say like a phone tag, but then it needs to have the app.
No, but you could have another URL. Like NFC doesn't have to use the tag reader that you build. Of course, integrates tightly into Home Assistant. But you could also just have it hit a website or hit. So if you use a cloud hook, right? Like, because you would have to have he's not on your Wi-Fi, so you cannot talk locally to Home Assistant. He has to go through Home Assistant cloud hooks, for example. Mm-hmm. Then he could just hit that from an ESP.
Or the ESP hits the URL.
Yeah, so you have just a big red button you put in his house.
Yeah.
That's it. Connect to
Wi-Fi. I found a solution.
There you go.
That's a nice solution.
Great. So then you can be back next month in the release party to share how it works.
Yeah, why not? I will remove the neighbors.
If you install the camera at the time, then we can watch the neighbor push the button and see it working.
Oh yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think he would be fine with it. But the good thing is, my neighbor. I'm trying to be good with my neighbor because he's brewing beer in his free time.
I see.
And we have been talking like, how could I automate his beer brewing process? That's what you guys have done to me, like automate everything.
I think there was a beer brewing IoT device that like would monitor like a cask or something. and it's integrated into Home Assistant. But I think a lot of these, I think even that the Python MQTT broker that is still inside Home Assistant, but we no longer suggest, started out as the backend for a beer brewing program.
That's actually gone, by the way.
Oh, we removed it? Okay, good.
A longer time ago.
Well, 3 or 4 releases ago or something.
It's 4 months.
Yeah, that's not.
You know, by the way,
Last year.
it's so nice that like the monthly release cycle is so easy to reason about, and to like talk to people like, oh, that's going to be in this release, or this was like so many releases ago. I like it.
Yes. Well, we had a discussion before, like announcing in the conference, right? And like some concerns about the monthly cycle, the time, but also like not having 1.0. And actually, we didn't have many negative responses about it, like mostly positive, because the version number now actually starts to have a meaning, which is kind of nice. Like it's just a date.
I like the monthly release because it gives more time for test features and maybe change in the last minutes without have a break and change on the next release, like blueprints.
As doing releases, like my most hated release of past year was the biggest release we did, which was the birthday release, which had a 5-week cycle. And that birthday release was so freaking packed. It was a nightmare to write like anything about it, because it was like there were so many things about in it. And at that point I said, like, we're never doing a 5-week cycle ever. That's impossible. So I think we're like we're now in the middle, like 3 week to a month instead of 5 weeks. I don't know. I'm hoping, like, while I like to have more time, I think that's a good thing. At the same time, I think I do not hope for another birthday release like we did in 2020. That was impossible.
But the birthday release was just before to Hacktoberfest as well, right? It was back to back. Yeah.
No, I think in between was the W2F month.
Yeah. That was in front of it. So first we had the what the heck, then we had a birthday week, and then we went into the Hacktoberfest. And like that was so well planned.
Yeah, that was too much. Yeah.
That was too much. But but I think in general, like the monthly cycle, I think it's easy to explain. I think that's the biggest thing. If we just now, how old your release is, and every month it's 12 releases a year. It's just like I think it's okay. A little more time you need.
Yeah, well, let's see how it all works out. I mean, right now we do a week beta. Maybe we'll extend it. Who knows? Right? I mean, there's more options. I think also there was always a bit of a unrealistic expectations about what 1.0 would bring in terms of like stability. Even though a lot of the stability issues are not because of us, but because we interact with everything in the world, and those things tend to break and change. And so,
MyQ, anyone? MyQ?
Oh, yeah.
Got a MyQ? Yeah.
Could everybody just stop using MyQ, or could MyQ just stop breaking their API?
Can write a haiku about that.
Right. Somebody is asking, will there be a what the heck this year?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I liked it. I think once we did it last year, people were like, we should do this every 6 months. I don't think so. We should do it every year. I think it might be nice to just combine it with Hacktoberfest. If Hacktoberfest is happening this year, I don't know. We got some backlash. But definitely, I mean, the thing is, every time we have these events, our workload goes up. And if we end up with, like last year, we planned it very poorly, because the truth is we didn't really plan it much. So we ended up a birthday week with extended workload, the what the heck month, the Hacktoberfest, and the conference preparations. And then, of course, all of Corona also gave us more workload, because there's just more people doing stuff at their home. And so
Actually, I predicted that one. Remember, Frank? I told you, oh, they're starting to lock down. You will see the PRs just starting to increase slowly, and then I told
actually the corona graphs and the Home Assistant contribution graphs, if you lay them on top of each other, they're like, especially in the beginning of the year, it's like a one-on-one match. Like they have the same curve, which is really scary. Yeah, but essentially we never left Hacktoberfest 2019.
It's been high ever since.
That was really crazy.
Still less than 100 PRs. Now we're nearly 350 PRs.
Well, how many? We were over 700.
Yeah. Okay. I'm only looking at core.
Yeah.
But I liked a tweet Paulos made. I think it was you who said we have to start saying no slowly to some requests because we will
We do. I say no a lot. But then the thing is, we always get, people come to Home Assistant with their contribution ready instead of like asking us if this is a good idea. And then they've already spent all these hours in it, and they're like, "Well, look, I built all of this. Please take it and like put it in Home Assistant." And then I have to be like, "No." I talked about like, there's a bunch of authentication stuff that people want to add to Home Assistant, and I'm just afraid that there's some security leak in it, and then I'm responsible or we are responsible, and these kind of things. So no, I mean I do try to say no. It's difficult because people think that because it's open source, we should accept everything. But of course, if we accept everything, we end up with nothing, right? Because then
we end up with a lot of maintenance.
Yes.
And that's why you have custom integrations. I think that's a good solution in the end. People know what they're up to. They have, if they want to add a custom integration, they can add it, and it's at their own risk. But you won't have to be available for them if they break stuff or anything. And I think that's a really important thing. Like your time won't be used for something they really want, but isn't 100% compatible with Home Assistant.
Right. And I think that this is, if you look at Home Assistant, at every level, you can add your custom stuff, right? Like if you look at the front end, you can do custom cards, custom panels, custom views even. You can do a custom whole front end. You can do a custom platform and integration. Like all that stuff is all possible. Just so that like it makes it easier for us to say no, because it's not the end. It's just, you have to go on to hacks, for example.
Yeah, and that makes actually a Home Assistant like, if you want a running instance, don't forget it's running on a Pi, and it's really powerful. Like, if you don't mess with it, it's fine in its core. When you start adding integrations, like custom integrations or custom, custom cards, then it might get slower.
Right. Well, a lot of times it actually tends to get slower because there's less quality control, right? People just whatever is on GitHub, people install and run it. Well, anything that's in Home Assistant core, the reason why we don't just press approve on 700 PRs is because we actually verify that the quality is to a certain extent good enough for what we want to have in core, what we think we can help maintain. And we catch a lot of things that actually are making Home Assistant slower, and we make sure that doesn't happen.
I think open source, it makes not all easy. And if you not have a border or your own way to how to see it, it's end up like OpenSea Wave Maintainer, Fischwaldo. It can be, and some parts it can be really hard with a community or with some things others say, hey, why do you not add this? It's open source. I want that it should be there. So it's really hard. What do you want to have in the code? What do you want to maintain? What is the goal of the software? And what's the way to archive this goal?
in the end, we want to reach as many people as possible, right? We want to do things that most people benefit from, not the specific use case somebody thought of, but like the thing that will hit the most people and have the most impact on most people's homes and things they do, and not just like that one use case from that specific person, right? That in the end, that's you have to choose. You can only do one thing. Which one do you choose? Like the one that has impact for a lot of people, or the one that has impact for a couple of people? And well, of course we will pick the one that that affects a lot of people, that a lot of people can benefit from. Like in the end, we're building this for the community and for ourselves and for everybody to enjoy. Of course, you pick the thing that a lot of people will be affected by.
Yeah. Well, I also think, I mean, as a kind of small addendum, is that we also think about not our current community, but also the people that could make it into our community that don't know yet about Home Assistant and that also have like, you know, we try to make sure it also works for them. Like our parents and our friends and families that we also want to convert to Home Assistant.
Yeah, or that possibly future contributor that makes a lot of nice things that isn't using Home Assistant yet. Like a lot of contributors actually started using Home Assistant at some point and then started fixing things and then essentially became like a contributor, a regular one. Like we all stumbled upon this project, like except for Paul's because he created it. But like everybody stumbled upon it and made it better and start growing. Like,
yeah. Well, I think one of the things I wish we could do better is that I want to get, you know, we attract a lot of software engineers, like people that can program, but I want to attract more designers, UI designers, people that think us through, help us through those kind of things, people that help with the documentation, structuring the documentation. And those people don't always have super technical skills, so we need to make sure that they can start using Home Assistant so they can start caring. You know, one of the things we tried, for example, this is like we tried this with data scientists, right? We made a data science portal, data.homeassistant.io. We explain all the data that's in Home Assistant, the stuff you could do with it. Frank made an amazing add-on that with one click you have Jupyter Studio installed. Rob Cole made this Has Detective Python package that will immediately find your Home Assistant instance and load in your data into Jupyter. And so with pretty much install, run, click, you were doing data science. And our hope was, oh, then we're going to get more people doing data science. And that didn't work. So, you know, just making all the tools available is also not, I guess, the thing we need to do. We need to do make more people aware, evangelism, these kind of things. Yeah.
Definitely.
Cool. Well, I think we made 2 hours, people.
Already.
So it's. I know. I think we should let's focus on wrapping up, so that we can all do something else with our evening.
Sleep.
Going to sleep, yeah.
Sleep for me, definitely.
I'm just going to the blog, read all the comments. No.
Maybe
tomorrow.
Maybe need the change log.
Right. I'll just go through every commit one more time.
It's like counting sheep.
Yeah.
So thank you for having me there. It was really fun, actually. I really enjoyed this one.
That's good. Well, you're in there.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you, Andrea. Thank you, Robert, and thank you, Pascal and Frank, of course, also for being there again. And thank everybody for watching. If you're watching on Facebook, don't forget to follow our page. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. Over there,
Where somewhere.
There's a button. And if you're watching on Twitter, don't forget to follow us.
And if you're on YouTube, by the way, we are currently busy with releasing all the videos from the conference. So, like, if you subscribe and hit the bell or something, then you get a notification when we publish those videos, because this will include all the talks that were not streamed to YouTube. So if you were not at the conference, You can still see all the talks that were given by everybody. So these will be posted in upcoming days. Today, the first 3 talks were released, and the others will follow as well. And there are some really cool
Dollhouse.
Yeah, the Dollhouse, for example. But there are some really good talks in there, so definitely recommend that.
Yes. Well, then everybody have a great 2021 and enjoy the release 2021.1, Home Assistant 2021.1, that was released just a few hours ago. So, all right. Bye.
Thank you.
See you.
Bye.
Take
Bye.
care.